All right, today we're going over marketing your listing and follow up once you've actually taken the listing and gone live on the MLS. A large part of the listing agent's job is to market the listing. It's not just put it on the MLS, set it and forget it, and wait for somebody to call you or set an appointment. You actually have to do something to promote that listing. So besides cleaning, decluttering, staging, professional pictures, and putting it on the MLS, I'm going to go over some ways that you can actually market that listing. So you're going to want to get professional photos. Those photos are your first pull into that listing. I mean, if they're bad photos, you're really not drawing anybody to that listing. So you do want to get a professional photographer that hopefully does HD, which is high definition. When it's HD, they're going to see all the water spots that are on the windows. So you want the house to be clean and tidy and whatnot, but it's going to set you apart from somebody that's taking pictures with their cell phone as opposed to somebody that's taking a professional photo. Colors are different, lighting is different. So I always suggest professional photos. That photographer can sometimes do drone. If not, you can hire somebody else that does drone. You don't need drone for every property. Drone is really like if it's a larger community or a larger parcel, you want to go above it so you can let them see where it sits in the neighborhood or what's behind it is great. If they have a park behind it, if they're up here, they can see the house and it backs up to the park. That's great. Also, like if it's just a regular home, it's got a 3,000 square foot lot, there's no need for a drone. Like you can see from the pictures that it's a smaller backyard. You don't need to really do all of that. Everything you're going to do is going to cost you money, so you're going to want to use it accordingly for that actual property. Matterport tours, those are great. Those are the ones that you see on the new home builders, where you click on the home and on the inside and it's got those little circles and you touch a circle and it zooms you there and there. You can turn around and see everything. They're great, but it's not for every home. If it's a smaller home, like if I'm right like this from wall to wall, you don't need to have a Matterport tour turning you around inside a closet. Like it needs to be a home with a great room and expansive. You might want to put a higher dollar point on that one, just like, hey, anything $1 million and above, I'm going to go ahead and do a Matterport walking tour or something, just as part of your marketing package. Because some of these smaller homes that are like 1,300 square feet, it just doesn't justify, one, spending the money for it, and two, the room. It's just going to look a little funny. So I also do a coming soon video. You know, I'm kind of preparing them that I've got something coming to the market. You know, I might show them. You don't want to go too much because it's not a pocket listing. It's coming soon, but if you haven't listed it on the MLS as coming soon, kind of letting the cat out of the bag, but you want to market to them and just your people, your sphere, on your Facebook, your Instagram. Hey, we got a listing coming up soon. Let me know if you're interested. It's in the Summerlin area. I don't give too much away because I want them calling me. I want to see who's interested so I can go ahead and contact them. And then once it goes live, I can set up a one-on-one showing for you, whatever it is that you want. But I like to do the, hey guys, getting ready. This is coming soon tomorrow. You know, we're going to do an open house this coming weekend. So get ready, call me, let me know that you're interested, and I'll get you the address and directions and all of that. I also make a personal property website for that specific property, and it's done by List Reports. Heather, our marketing rep for Rock Title, she can actually set you up on List Reports. List Reports is great because they make personal websites for your listings. They have all of the flyers and all the stuff that you want to print out for your open houses. It's all free. It's great. It's colorful. It tells you how far away the grocery stores are and the schools are, what schools they're zoned for and what their ratings are. Gives you tons of information you can include in your MLS pictures or just around the house when you list the home. So you're going to get with Heather and she can set you up on that. Even if you don't have a listing, you can get set up on List Reports now, because if you choose to do an open house for one of the other agents, you can pull List Reports for that property, and that's what you're going to bring to your open house with you. So it's always great to have that List Reports account started. Videos. Any videos that you do, you're going to want to use hashtags in the description, or if you're going to place a video on YouTube, in the title of it, you're going to want to use specific words like Summerlin home, and that way anybody typing in, you know, homes in Summerlin, it will pull your video. I don't specialize in all of the social media stuff, but Rock Title's really good at it. Tim Sams has some classes. Justin Taylor, they have a Rock Title, ROC Title, has a YouTube channel that will actually educate you on all that stuff, social media wise. And they kind of go a little bit deeper into that, but you want to use keywords that will draw the outside people into your own personal YouTube page or your own personal website. I do a just listed video. Once it goes live, I go back to the property. If you haven't already made the video, you can take a day before it hits the market and do a lot of your coming soon video, just listed video. Hey, which bathroom do you like? You know, this or that. You know, you can spend a day just doing that so you have it in your queue, and when you're ready, you can just put it on your social media and go. You don't have to keep going back and forth to the property. Got to use your time wisely. But if you have that video already made, if not, go back to the house and it's like just listed everybody, and now you can give the address. This is 123 Main Street. We just hit the market. I don't like putting prices in there because it gives them a reason to call you. Because they're like, well, what's the price? You know, or they're texting you or emailing you. Now you've got some kind of an open dialogue with them, so you can go ahead and start conversing. And also, if the price changes, now you're saying it's $500 when now you're down to $480, and that might be a different price point, and then you missed them because they're like, oh, I can't afford $500. So you don't want to miss them. So I always just say, you know, call me for pricing, let me know you're interested, and I can give you further details. So leave it a little bit open in general, but give them the information about the house, because now that it's listed, even if it's an outside client that you don't know, or customer at that point, you want them to be calling you or even saying to their realtor, hey, I saw this, you know, on YouTube, I want to go see it. I don't care who brings them, but if it's another buyer from another brokerage, don't care, just come and see my listing. So you want to put all that out there. I like to do a community video, especially if you're like up in the master plan communities like Sky Canyon or Summerlin or Cadence. Show them what the community has to offer and then end with your house. This, you could start with your house and say, in this, you know, Summerlin Village, you know, whatever, this is what it is, or all the shopping by Cadence, and go through, and then you're like, so if you're interested in 123 Main Street, here you go, just let me know. All these amenities could be yours. Sell them on the neighborhood in the subdivision. I also do, and when you make those videos, put them on YouTube again and tag, or just in the description, the title, put Cadence, put Summerlin, so it'll draw more hits. Because if people are Googling, they're not just Googling for that house, they're Googling for houses in this area. Homes Illustrated, I place an ad. I don't have it with me, but it's right outside the door. There's a magazine called Homes Illustrated. I've been placing ads in them for like 12, 13 years. But people think it's expensive. But really, half a page of the newspaper print, it's color. Newspaper print is $55. A full page is $99. Do I get a lot of calls from it? No, I got a couple creepy calls, but I'm not getting calls per se to sell that house. But I'm winning listings because in my listing presentation, I pull the magazine out and say, and then I place your home in a magazine. Who doesn't want their home in a magazine, right? This magazine goes to all of Southern Nevada, all the grocery stores in Southern Nevada, goes up and down the strip, the two Denny's that are on the strip, goes on the Wall Street Journal website, and all of the grocery stores in Southern California. So that's huge because we get a lot of California buyers that come here. So for $55, the seller doesn't know how much it costs me, right? But for $55, I can run an ad. I'm showing them I've done this, I've put a postcard, I've run an ad, I've done, like, it just kind of helps solidify that all that you are doing to market their property. But it's also could be gaining you some potential clients at the same time. So I have not had a listing in years that I haven't put an ad. Even if you don't have a listing, you can run an ad in there for yourself.
For how many days?
It's 2 weeks. It runs for 2 weeks. And then if you do the front cover or the inside fold out, it's a little bit more. It's like $350 because it's like the front cover, and they do a certain price point. It has to be a certain kind of home, but that runs for the full month. So, but for $55 for 2 weeks, I mean, it's great. I mean, to me, that's super because it's getting so much exposure. You can look in there, and the majority of agents that advertise in there are Realty One agents. So it says a lot because we kind of dominate that magazine. But I do mailers to the neighbors, just listed. And I always tell in my listing presentation, I say if time permits, because when you're doing print work, it could take 2 to 3 weeks to get that out. So if I know I want to do mailers, the minute I get the pictures back from my photographer, I get that mailer out because it could be a week before it goes into the printing, and then a week before it gets mailed out. But sometimes I always like to wait. Sometimes I wait, and I tell my sellers, it has to be on the market for a week. Let's see what kind of attraction we get. If there's not a lot, then we'll go ahead and move it out. But if we think we're going to take an offer in a week, there's no sense in sending just listed postcards when by the time they're out, we're halfway through the process. So I give myself a little bit of time. But if you want to get it out right now, because again, you want to walk the neighborhood, you want to put flyers, you want to door knock, just letting you know, I just listed the home on 123 Main Street right on the other side here. I just want to let you know that it's here. If you know of anybody, friends, family, neighbors that are thinking about purchasing in this neighborhood, please give me a call, give them a flyer, because a lot of your clients might be those other sellers in the neighborhood. You want to get sellers as well, because you want to do a really good job with your listing, because those are your potential next clients. And then they're going to go look at how much she did to that listing. Look how she did her open houses. You're selling yourself the whole time to gather more listings in that neighborhood. And then the next one was door knocking, which I said just listed in doing that for open houses as well. That's a whole nother class for open house door knocking, but go around it, but you can go the whole neighborhood. So how much time that you want to expend in there, but front yard sign. I still like the front yard sign, but there are times where I don't use a front yard sign. If I have an elderly client that might be there by themselves, I don't like to advertise. I give them the option, but sometimes it could put them in a little bit of a situation if they're there by themselves and random people come up and knock on their door, and they might go, oh, okay, sure, and invite somebody in that we don't know anything about. So I always tell my clients, when we go live, I'm going to give you a stack of my cards, keep them by your front door. If anybody just randomly knocks on your door, say, can I view your home? You know what, please call my realtor, they'll schedule you. I tell them, do not let anybody in there that we don't know who they are. Even if it's a realtor, you know what, can you call my realtor? Because they can call me, they can go on to showing time, and they can schedule right then and there. So there's no reason they should just be knocking on random doors. But if the general public does it, that's when it gets a little scary. So I say, here's my realtor's card. Feel free to call her to set an appointment. Add flyers to the flyer box. So when I put a listing sign out there, you are going to buy your own listing signs, but you're going to rent the post. Okay? I rent the post and the flyer box. It's about $45, $55 for the post, and an extra $5 for that sign box, the sign writer box. It's a sign box, and then you can add writers to it. But a lot of agents have gotten away from doing the paper flyers. But let me tell you, I've gotten 3 clients. One of them was a buyer. They drove around all day. They were in their 60s, and they were looking for somebody to list their mom's home who was in her 80s. But they were from Texas, and so they're just driving around, and I was the only one all day that had a flyer. And I ended up selling that house, and then I sold them a house for their son. And they're like, nobody else here uses flyers, and we like they're old school. You don't know who's going to buy the home or who you interest, so you're going to market in all these different ways. I know people are like, here, scan the QR code. Well, if you have a 70-year-old person, a lot of times they're like, I don't understand this, They like the paper. But also, if you get paper in your hands, you can staple your card. Now they have a flyer with your information, they have a card with a lot of older people like to hold on to cards. I'll be there, the realtor in their pocket. Like, you've just got to keep marketing in all these different ways. Now, on that flyer, though, I don't usually put the price. And the reason why I don't is because I want them to call me. If I put the price, they have no reason to call me. I gave them all the information. Now, do they call you and yell at you? Where's the price? Why did you do? Yes, sometimes 90% of the time they're yelling at you because the price wasn't there. But if they really care, they can Google it. But a lot of times I'll take them calling me and yelling at me because they called me. I'm so sorry, you know what, I'm a very green person and I didn't want to waste the flyers, and throw them away because they had the wrong price. So I just left the price off, and I figure if you're interested, you'll give me a call, and, or this one is sold and, or under contract. So, whatever it may be, but it got them to call me. And now I've captured their name and I've captured their phone number. And now if you want to give me your email, I can go ahead and send you a list of other homes that are available in the neighborhood. You're always constantly trying to gather that information to market to them. Also, I don't use plain white paper on my flyers. I use like a light tinged gray or a light beige, because if they're out collecting flyers and they got a stack of flyers, Guess whose flyer is going to stand out? Just because it's just a little off that white color, right? So something to think about. That's just how I've done it over the years. Also, I this kind of a little bit further down the road, but when my house goes under contract and we accept an offer, I don't put a big sold banner, because guess what? If it's sold, nobody's going to call you, right? So leave that off of there, and then they'll call you, oh, I'm so sorry, this one is already under contract, but I do have one that's similar in the neighborhood. Even if it's not your listing, you can sell anything that's in the neighborhood. So I always kind of leave off that sold sign. That's just how I market it. So next page. QR code that brings them to your website. You can have a, on your big sign out front, you can have a little QR code that once they scan it, if they pull up, they can scan it and you can draw them right back to your website. And on your website is all your listings and it's all your information. So it steers them away from the MLS and it goes right directly to you. So something like that. You can even put a little plastic where the flyers are. You can just put something in there as a QR code for them to scan. There's multiple different ways. You could put a QR code by the front door, like whatever it is that you want to do to constantly bring people back to you. Social media. You want to post on social media when you have a listing. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, on your personal website. Just any way that you can market it, because anytime somebody Googles something, it's going to come up. If they Google that address, you're going to come up. If they Google you, the address is going to come up. But you want to be everywhere, right? And then we have in our back office tools, it's called Boost by HomeSpotter. I just did Tuesday Tools. So if you go on our YouTube channel, it says Tuesday Tools, and it's how to place an ad on Facebook, Instagram, I think LinkedIn, Nextdoor. You can do that all through Boost. And it's very easy. It's I think a 10-minute tutorial on what buttons to push. And it'll ask you what zip codes, what area. You could pick up to 5 different areas or zip codes. And then it'll ask you how many people do you want it to reach and how long do you want that to run. And it gives you a total and you put your credit card in and you go. And it just goes out to all the social media. Super easy. So if you are interested in doing that, just go to Boost on our back office tools. And then let's see, open houses. I allow other agents to sit on my open house listings, to sit on my listings as open houses. I don't say just Realty One agents, although we want our Realty One agents to have first dibs on it. But to me, the way I look at it is if I have somebody from a competing brokerage that sits on it, guess what? They're going to start putting it out on their social media for everybody at that brokerage to see too. But if you want to do an open house, you can only do an open house on another Realty One listing. And the reason why is because with all the NAR rules and changes, the way open houses work is we all have to get that buyer BBRA, the buyer broker representative agreement, signed before you show a home. If it is your listing or another Realty One listing, you don't have to get it signed. But if I'm sitting on an open house for somebody in another brokerage, everybody that walks through the door, I have to make them sign a contract. They don't even want to see it. So we're saying, you know what? Don't do it. Just do it on your listings or any Realty One listings. But hey, if I have a listing and somebody from a competing brokerage wants to go through all that trouble, let them. I don't care. But just so you're aware, when you go to pick open houses to do, if it's not your own listing, it just has to be in a Realty One open house. But just anywhere you can, if you know other realtors, make a post on your social media and share it to them. Ask them to share it on their pages. Like, get friendly. Like, other realtors are our friends, and a lot of agents are like, no, they're my competition. But you know what? They also are a good source of leads. Like, they might have 500 or 1,000 other people on their social media that you don't know and you can't get to. So why not use them? I'll share your stuff. If you share my stuff, utilize them, because your stuff can get pushed out a little bit further to people that you don't know and never have a way to get to. There's another system called AdWorks. It's a digital ad display on the side of your email. It's a separate company. I don't know how much they are, because years ago I used to use them and I haven't done anything in quite a bit now as a sales manager here. So with that, like say you're like looking at something, you got log into your email and all of a sudden you get these pop-ups for tennis shoes or whatever. It's because you've been searching tennis shoes. That's what AdWorks is. If you've been searching homes, you're going to get an ad for AdWorks. And it could be a picture of yourself. It could be a picture of a home. It could be rotating pictures, whatever it might be. But it's a different way to get out there for that. I think you could pick it off a zip code. So I think you could pick up to 2 or 3 zip codes at one time to run those ads. So if you want, go to their website. It's ADWERX, AdWorks. And then there's Zip Your Flyer. That is an email service where they make flyers. Well, you design the flyer and you pick zip codes to send it out to other agents. It's good and bad, I think. I wouldn't do it locally. Like anybody that's a licensed agent, a realtor here in Nevada, they have access to the MLS. So if they have clients that are in that search criteria, they already know about it. But where I would use Zip Your Flyer is I would be picking zip codes in California. And because they don't have access to all of our MLS. So they'd have to just be looking on Zillow or something. So if I pick a zip code in Southern California, 2 or 3 of them, and the price goes up depending on how many agents you're targeting in each zip code. So it's like $45 and then $69 and $82 like per each different zip code, but I'm marketing to them directly. As realtors, I'm sure you guys have gotten emails with, it's just a flyer from another realtor and it's like, oh, look at my newest listing, and it's actual flyer. They're usually local. I suggest doing it for out-of-staters. If you know that Tennessee, well, I don't know if Tennessee people are moving here. I know a lot of people are moving there, but get with a title rep and they'll tell you where most of our people moving to Vegas right now are coming from. We know California, but Hawaii, we get a lot of Hawaiians, so maybe pick a couple of zip codes in Hawaii and mail, do the Zip Your Flyer to Hawaii. And then make sure all websites have the correct information. They don't always copy everything from the MLS correctly. So I remember years ago, it was probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I put a listing for my friend. He lived in Texas and he was listing his rental home. And I put everything on there. I've been a realtor for many years, so I know what I'm doing. And I put it on there and I hit submit. And the next day he calls me angry going, why would you list it like that? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you put it as a 2-story when it's a 1-story. You put that it had grass out front when it's desert lands. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, look at Zillow. I'm like, I don't control Zillow. I have no idea. And I went on there and sure enough, all the information's wrong. They have a picture of the front of the house that says it's a 2-story when it's clearly a 1-story, and that it was grass, full lawn out front. And I'm like, no, it's rock. It's literally lowest maintenance you can get above dirt. I mean, there was nothing. And I was like, well, I don't, but you have to log in. You have to create a Zillow account, a Realtor.com account, a Trulia account. And when you hit put a listing live, you need to go in there and you need to make sure that the information that because they're going to pull some information. They might have a 18-year-old kid just pulling information. It doesn't always come over the same way. So you want to go in there and say, okay, yes, claim your listing. That is my listing. And these adjustments, add new photos, whatever you're going to do, but just make sure it's correct. Because a lot of people go to those websites, even though they have realtors, and the wrong information might be coming out. So you want to make sure that that's all correct. So there's that. Now, if you skip the next page, I kind of gave you some ideas of flyers. This is a standard size flyer. I always use the jumbo size flyer. And then there's like a picture of the front. This is old school because this brokerage is no longer in here. But these are just listed. And then on the back of the flyer, what you could put a little bit of information on there. She put the price. This one just kind of, guess what your neighbors did? They just listed their house. Little catchy sayings and things like that. And then over here, a couple of mine, I only had just sold. I don't know where all my just listed postcards went. But like I said, I use the jumbo ones. And I'll put on there, just sold, 25,000. What's that?
They put the price.
They did put the price. I do only put the price on my just sold. But these two ladies decided to put the price on their just listed. Again, it's up to you. Everybody, you're independent contractors. You're going to put what you want to put. If they felt that works for them, awesome. And it might, just listed because it just went on the market 2 days ago, great. But if it's 3 or 4 weeks in, by the time it hits, you might have adjusted that price. So, just kind of gauge on your timing there. Let's see. And if, like these ones on the bottom here where it's black with the red, this is done through CoreFact, a company that we do have a little tile in our back office. I like CoreFact because if you look at the back, it gives you a home estimate. Well, it also gives you it gives each homeowner a separate key code. And so what happens is you're going to get a list when you're ready to do any kind of mailers. You're going to get a list from the title company for that neighborhood. They're going to say, give me an address. What do you want? Say, I just want addresses for this specific neighborhood. They're going to give you an address list, and you're going to upload it into Corefact, right? Or whatever one that you use. And then when you do that, Corefact will make these postcards however you want them, and then they include this little key code. So if it says, get your free home estimate instantly. So anybody that goes on there and it says, here's your free one, you must enter this code. They enter that code and you get an automatic email of that this person at this address is actually interested in getting a home evaluation. So now you get with title and get their phone number, you can call them, you can send mailers to them, and you know these people are starting to actively think about selling their home. So that's a really great way to kind of stay in communication with the homeowners that are around your listing. So let me see what's on this last page. Oh, okay, so now go back to the page that says follow up. And we're gonna go over there. Now, none of this works unless you follow up, okay? So if somebody calls you and you miss the call, or they ask a question, or they send you an email, you need to constantly follow up. And sometimes it takes 2 to 3 times of follow-up before you get to them. Or you might get to them each time, but they're just not ready. Just keep following up, right? So I put an electronic lockbox on my listings. It's the safest way to do it, but they're about $150 to $180. You have to go down to the LVR. But this electronic lockbox, it keeps track of everything. Whoever accesses that lockbox, name, phone number, email, their broker, their brokerage, what time they entered, what time they leave, and it's for safety for your seller as well. Because sometimes if the key goes missing, I just go back to this call log here and I'm like, okay, well, you were the last person in there. Where's the key to my house? Or if I show up there and the door's open, who was the last person in here? Why did they not shut the door? You know, what's going on with that? So you kind of backtrack. But what I also use it for is follow-up to give my clients, my sellers, information about the house and how often we're getting showings and what people are saying about it. So when I do my listing, I always say I'm going to put an electronic lockbox on your house. I follow up with everybody that enters the home. So, but I call you only on the days that they enter. So if you don't hear from me for a day or two, it's because nobody viewed the home. But if they came in on Wednesday, by Wednesday at 6 o'clock, I'm calling that agent and I'm saying, you know, I see that you showed my house at 123 Main Street today. How did your buyers like the property? What stood out most to you and your buyers? Will they be making an offer? You as an agent, what did you think about the pricing? You know, I'm just trying to gather some information, and I make notes, and then I go back to my sellers same day by 7 p.m. and I give them a call and I tell them what works best. Call, text, or email. I'll give you a report. And sometimes they're like, just email it to me and I'll keep it in there, or just text me. And I'll just say, hey, we had 2 showings today. One answered, one did not. I left them a voicemail. I'll follow up again tomorrow. But the one that answered said this, this, and this. That's it. But if they don't hear from me the next day, it's because nobody else showed the home. I don't want to call them and say, hey, nobody came by today. Nobody came by today either. You know, it's just a negative. So it's like, great, somebody came by today. This is what they said about your home. So that's how I follow up with that. If I have neighbors or sign calls, they are usually calling about the price, right? So they're like, hi, I'm the neighbor, and I was just wondering what's going on, and do they have the loft, or did they make that a bedroom? And it's like, we're going to be doing an open house this Saturday. I would love for you to come by. You know, like, hey, come see it. Or, are you in the market for selling? Are you just looking for some information? Well, my sister's thinking about moving here from California. Great. I can meet you over there. Would you like to do a video tour or whatever it is? I'm trying to sell the home, whether it's to them or their family member, however it is, I can make it more convenient. But call them back each time you have a price adjustment. So if anybody calls you just from driving by, hey, you had called me 2 weeks ago. You drove by my listing at 123 Main Street. The price was at this point. I just wanted to let you know we did a price improvement and we've, reduced it about $10,000, whatever it is. I always call it a price improvement. Not a price adjustment, price drop, that's kind of negative. I'm improving the price. But sometimes you'll get calls from people in California that saw it on Zillow or Realtor.com. I always do like to call them back 2 or 3 times because they called you because they're interested, but sometimes they just can't make it out there. And then they're like, they just want to be updated and they just kind of forget about it there, but it's like, oh, hey. And if they're already calling about it, they're thinking about buying something in in Nevada. So if I can't sell them this home, I'm going to keep working them for another home, right? So the follow-up is your key, and I think that's where a lot of realtors drop the ball. They call, answer the question, and then they're done. You got to put them in your database and just keep calling. But always make sure you follow up with everyone. Some agents get lazy, only call 2 or 3 times, and then they just leave it. Ask them if you can set them up on a search. Ask them if you can, hey, would you like my monthly email? You know, like just so you know what's going on in Vegas, whatever it is, just to try to connect with them. But what I also do is on the very last page, I have a follow-up log. And it's name, phone number, and date. But what you could do is I usually do 1, and then underneath it I put what my results were for follow-up. And then under 3, I would put the next person's name and then the follow-up, because you want to know, I called them, but what did they say? Are they looking? Are they in state? Whatever it is. So when you call them back, I always put the date that I called them back. You know, like, hey, you know, or the date that I called them, so then I could say, hey, we talked last on, you know, March 1st. I just wanted to touch base, let you know we had a price improvement. Didn't know if you're still looking. Were you interested in taking a tour? I'd love to meet you. Or we're doing an open house this weekend. So however it is that you can connect with them, but just, you're not going to remember everything unless you write it down. Log it somewhere, because that's where we fail. It's like, what did I say to them? Which one were they? Were they from California? You know, so just make your notes. He who has the most notes wins, guys. Just note down. If you look in my office, I'm sure y'all have, there's sticky notes everywhere, because I'm just big on notes. Like, if you're talking to me on the phone, I'm making a note, like, what was our conversation? And you should do the same in your real estate business as well. But other than that, that's just starters on how you can market your listing right when you go live. Any questions for me? No. Well, perfect. Thank you for attending today. I appreciate it. If any of you on video are interested in the paper printout, just email me, wendy.schaller@realty1group.com, and I'll get that over to you. Have a great week, guys. Okay. Perfect. So let me just shut this off.